studio microphone. Most traders think they're losing because they haven't found the right setup. But what if I told you that the real reason lies much deeper? In your psychology, in your illusions, in your expectations. Brain, in this episode of Whispers of Psychology, we dive into one of the biggest psychological traps in trading: the obsession with strategy and the ignorance of self. Police Scarlight stay till the end if you truly want to understand why 90% of traders never make it, and how to break free from the trap that's been holding you back. Most aspiring traders enter the markets with one question in mind. What's the best strategy? They spend months, sometimes years, searching for the perfect setup. They try indicators, oscillators, bots, patterns, Fibonacci levels, price action, volume analysis, and even astrology-based signals. They switch between time frames, subscribe to signal services, and binge-watch YouTube gurus. But even after all this, their results don't change. Or worse, they keep losing. Why? Because they're trying to solve a psychological problem with a technical solution. You see, the belief that a better strategy will fix everything is a psychological defense mechanism. It protects the trader from having to face a deeper truth. They are the weak link in their own trading system. This is hard to admit. It's much easier to blame the market, the volatility, or even the strategy. But here's the psychological trap. They keep changing tools without ever changing themselves. Think about it. If strategy was the only ingredient, then every trader using the same strategy would get the same results. But they don't. Two traders can use the exact same system, yet one consistently grows while the other burns account after account. Why? Because strategy is only as strong as the person executing it. Most traders are trying to force discipline onto themselves after trade goes wrong. They say things like, "I need to stop revenge trading. I should have followed my plan. I won't break my rules again." But this cycle keeps repeating. And it's not because they're dumb or lazy. It's because they haven't internalized a basic truth. Trading success isn't about what you know. It's about what you can control under pressure. The illusion of strategy creates a dangerous mindset. It convinces traders that success is out there, that there's some external edge waiting to be found. But in reality, the edge is in here, in the mind, in the nervous system, in the ability to stay composed when the market becomes chaos. What does that require? Self-awareness, self-regulation, emotional mastery. But those aren't sexy. They're not taught in most trading courses. You don't hear influencers say, "Hey, journal your emotions today. Track your mindset, not just your entries." And yet, that's exactly where transformation happens. The truth is, most traders lose not because their system fails, but because their execution under stress fails. They hesitate. They overthink. They get greedy. They enter too early, exit too late, or break their own rules because of fear of missing out. All of these are psychological reactions, nothing to do with strategy. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine a sniper with a perfect rifle. It's calibrated, accurate, and powerful. But if his hands are shaking, his breath is uneven, and his focus is scattered, will the bullet hit the target? No, it's not the rifle. It's the shooter. And in trading, your rifle is your strategy, but you are the shooter. If you can't manage your internal world, the external tools won't matter. Now, here's the most ironic part. The traders who succeed long-term, they don't keep jumping from one strategy to another. They pick one, and then they go deep, not just deep into how the system works, but into how they work while using it. They study their own behavior. They journal after each session. They review not just wins and losses, but also their thoughts, their impulses, their emotional triggers. They treat trading like a mirror, because it is. Every trade reflects back something about the trader. That's the real edge. The illusion of strategy is seductive. It gives traders something to chase. It feels productive. It feels like learning. But in most cases, it's procrastination in disguise, a delay tactic, a way to avoid the discomfort of self-reflection. But if you're willing to drop that illusion, if you can accept that your psychology is just as important as your charts, you will begin to see the market in a new way, not as a battlefield full of enemies and noise, but as a silent teacher, one that's trying to help you grow. Every failed trade becomes a lesson in discipline, Every impulsive click becomes an invitation to pause. Every emotional reaction becomes a signal, not to buy or sell, but to observe yourself. And that's when real progress begins, not with a new indicator, but with a new relationship with your mind. Every trader has felt it. That rush of adrenaline right before entering a trade. The pounding heart when the price moves against you. The sudden urge to double down or panic and exit early. In that moment, all logic disappears. Your trading plan? Forgotten. Risk management? Ignored. Your system? Doesn't even matter. What just happened? You weren't trading the market anymore. You were being traded by your emotions. This is a hidden layer of trading most people never talk about. The emotional hijack. You might have the best technical analysis, perfect risk reward, a back-tested strategy with a 70% win rate. But if you can't stay emotionally neutral when real money is on line, none of it matters. Emotions like fear and greed don't just influence your decisions. They become your decisions. Fear shows up in subtle ways. It tells you not to take that trade even when your setup is valid. It whispers, what if this one fails too? It makes you hesitate, second guess, and miss the move entirely. Then comes the regret, the shame. So next time you act fast, too fast, trying to make up for the missed opportunity. That's when greed kicks in. Greed tells you to over-leverage, to hold longer than you should, to take one more trade, even when you're already emotionally drained. It convinces you that you figured out the market, that you can bend the rules just this once. But behind both of these emotions is the same enemy, impulsiveness. Impulse is the opposite of discipline, and trading rewards discipline, not impulse. When you're emotionally hijacked, your brain literally shifts how it processes information. Neurologically, the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for emotional responses, takes control. Rational thinking, handled by the prefrontal cortex, is temporarily shut down. That's why traders say things like, I don't know what I was thinking, or I can't believe I did that again. They weren't thinking. They were feeling. They were in survival mode, fight or flight, and the market felt like a threat. But here's the twist. The market isn't attacking you. Your own unresolved emotional patterns are. Most traders bring their personal psychology into the market unconsciously. If you're impatient in life, you'll be impatient with your trades. If you fear loss in relationships, you'll fear loss in trading. If you equate success with self-worth, then every losing trade will feel like a personal failure. The chart is neutral, but the mind looking at it is not. This is why two traders can see the exact same candlestick and react in completely different ways. One sees opportunity. The other sees danger. And that difference? It's not experience. It's emotional control. Developing emotional control doesn't mean you stop feeling. You're human. You'll feel fear, greed, doubt, and excitement. But mastery comes when you can feel those emotions and not act on them. Think of it like meditation. The goal isn't to not have thoughts. The goal is to notice the thought, observe it, and choose whether to engage with it. Same with trading. You feel the emotional wave rising, but you don't let it crash into your keyboard. How do you train this? Start with awareness. Track your emotional state during each trade, not just the outcome, but what you were feeling before, during, and after. Did you feel anxious before entry? Did you rush because of FOMO? Did you add size out of greed? Write it down. Over time, patterns will emerge. You'll begin to see that your biggest losses had nothing to do with the market and everything to do with your mental state. This is where transformation begins. Emotional control doesn't come from reading quotes or watching psychology videos. It comes from daily observation of your own behavior. It comes from building internal systems of regulation, like deep breathing, journaling, pre-trade checklists, and post-trade reviews. The traders who last in this game are not emotionally dead. They're emotionally aware. They know that the first feeling after a win is often overconfidence. They know that the first feeling after a loss is revenge. They know how to pause, reflect, and reset. They've built habits that protect them from their own mind. You won't find these habits in most trading books, because most trading education focuses on the market. But real trading mastery happens in the space between the market and the mind. That's where decisions are made. That's where discipline is tested. That's where the real trader is revealed. If you want to make it in this game, not just for a few lucky weeks, but for years, you need more than setups and strategies. You need emotional sovereignty. You need to become the kind of person who doesn't get hijacked by a red candle or a green spike, who doesn't treat losses as trauma and wins as validation, who can sit, breathe, and act, not react. And when you do, the market becomes less chaotic. The noise quiets down. Your edge sharpens, not because the market changed, but because you did. Most traders think they're trading the market, but in reality, they're trading their own minds without even realizing it. Every candlestick is filtered through the lens of their beliefs, their fears, their self-doubt, and their internal narrative. And yet, most never stop to examine who they are as a trader. They know the market structure, but not their own. They'll spend hours analyzing price action, but not even 5 minutes analyzing their own reactions. They'll track entry and exit levels, but never track the emotional triggers behind them. And that's the real tragedy. Because without self-awareness, a trader becomes predictable, not to the market, but to their own destructive patterns. They repeat the same mistakes over and over again. They overtrade after a loss, even when they swore they wouldn't. They exit early out of fear, even when they had a solid setup. They skip journaling, then complain about not improving. They chase highs, avoid reflection, and seek dopamine over data. They don't need more knowledge. They need consciousness. But here's the painful truth. Self-awareness is uncomfortable. It forces you to look at your flaws. It makes you admit that your lack of discipline isn't the market's fault. It shows you that maybe you're not ready for the size you're trading. It reveals the ego behind every rushed entry, the fear behind every missed trade, the insecurity behind every impulsive click. It's much easier to avoid all that. It's easier to blame the strategy, to tweak the indicator, to switch time frames, to open another trading course, to say, I just need more experience. But experience without awareness just makes your bad habits stronger. If you trade for 5 years without self-reflection, you're not a 5-year trader. You're a 1-month trader repeating the same cycle for 60 months. And that cycle is brutal. It doesn't just hurt your account. It starts to affect your self-worth. You begin to doubt your potential. You feel stuck, trapped, frustrated. And the worst part is, you don't know why it keeps happening. But the answer is simple. You've been watching the market more than you've been watching yourself. Think about it. If every decision in trading comes from the mind, shouldn't the mind be your primary focus? Self-awareness means knowing your tendencies. Do you tend to jump in early because you hate waiting? Do you get anxious the moment you're in profit? Do you enter trades just to feel productive? Do you seek certainty in an uncertain environment? These aren't strategy questions. They're psychological patterns. And those patterns are running your trading, silently, automatically, unconsciously. Until you bring them to light, you'll keep running in circles. But once you begin to observe them, everything starts to change. Suddenly, you notice the tension in your chest before a trade. You pause. You breathe. You begin to notice the difference between intuition and impulsiveness. You stop chasing setups that don't align with your plan. You become a little less reactive, a little more intentional. That's when trading starts to transform from chaos into clarity. Not because the market got easier, but because you became clearer. And clarity is a trader's superpower. Clarity tells you when to act and when to wait. Clarity helps you walk away when the conditions aren't right. Clarity allows you to lose a trade without losing your mind. But you don't get that clarity from a strategy. You get it from looking within. Here's the thing. The market doesn't care who you are, but you should, because you are the variable in every trade. You are the edge or the weakness. Without self-awareness, you'll keep trying to fix external problems that are really internal. You'll keep thinking, I need a better system, when in truth, you need a better relationship with yourself. Self-awareness in trading is like turning on a light in a dark room. It doesn't change what's in the room. It just allows you to see it clearly. And once you see clearly, you stop stumbling. You start choosing, consciously, intentionally, powerfully. You stop reacting to the market and start responding to yourself. That's where mastery begins, not with perfection, not with winning every trade, but with knowing yourself so well that nothing in the market does surprises you, because you've already studied the most volatile chart of all, the one inside your own mind. Traders spend so much time looking outward, scanning charts, studying patterns, watching gurus, buying courses. They believe that success in trading is found out there in strategy, in signals, in market timing. But what if the thing they're truly missing isn't on the chart? What if their lack of consistency has nothing to do with setups? What if the real reason they're stuck is because they've never looked inward? No inner work means no outer progress. It's a silent truth of this game, often ignored, because doing inner work is uncomfortable. It requires honesty, stillness, patience, accountability. And in a world that values quick profits and fast dopamine, that feels slow, almost invisible. But trading will expose every weakness you haven't dealt with. Your impatience, your insecurity, your need for control, your desire to prove something, your fear of failure, your addiction to winning. All of it gets magnified on the chart. And if you haven't done the work to understand where those patterns come from, they will control you. Silently, repeatedly, you'll start breaking your own rules, not because your system is flawed, but because you are out of alignment. You'll add more trades not because of logic, but because you're chasing a feeling. You'll take unnecessary risks not because of confidence, but because of ego or desperation. It's not the market that causes the chaos. It's your unprocessed self entering it. Think about it. Two traders can use the same strategy. One grows, the other blows up. The difference? Not the method, not the tools, but the mind using them. A trader who's done the inner work approaches the market with emotional clarity. They're not triggered by red candles. They don't seek revenge after a loss. They don't need to win to feel worthy. Why? Because they've trained for it. Not just technically, but psychologically. They've sat with their emotions. They've journaled their reactions. They've studied their impulses. They build emotional discipline, brick by brick. It doesn't mean they don't feel fear or greed anymore. It means they don't get controlled by it. And that's the point. The market will always test you. But if you haven't tested yourself beforehand, you'll fail. Inner work is not spiritual fluff. It's performance psychology. It's emotional management. It's the foundation behind every high-level decision you make under pressure. Without it, you'll keep chasing external tools to fix internal issues. You'll keep telling yourself, I need a better strategy. I need a better indicator. I need a better mentor. But the truth is, you need a better relationship with yourself. You need to understand why you overtrade when you're tired, why you sabotage yourself right after a big win, why you double down after a loss, even when you promised yourself you wouldn't, why you attach your self-worth to every single trade. These aren't technical problems. They're emotional imprints rooted in your past, your patterns, your psychology. Until you address them, no amount of market knowledge will save you. Because trading isn't just about decision-making. It's about how you make decisions under emotional stress. And that can't be fixed with another course. It can only be fixed with inner work. That means building habits most traders ignore. Daily journaling, pre-trade meditation, post-trade self-review, honest emotional check-ins. Studying your own psychology as deeply as you study charts. It's not glamorous. You can't post a screenshot of it. But that's where the real edge lives, in the quiet moments no one sees. Success in trading is not random. It's the natural result of someone who has trained their nervous system to stay calm under chaos, who has trained their mind to act with clarity, not impulse, who has trained their emotions to respond, not react. And that kind of training doesn't happen by accident. It happens through inner work. Look around. The traders who last 5, 10, 15 years, they're not just skilled, they're emotionally resilient. They've learned how to detach from outcome, manage expectations, and protect their mindset. They don't chase highs. They protect consistency. They've made peace with uncertainty. They've made peace with loss. They've made peace with the process. That peace isn't a personality trait. It's a byproduct of deep work done off the charts. And if you skip that part, if you keep avoiding the inner work, you'll keep finding yourself in the same loop. New strategy, same result. New goal, same sabotage. New trade, same emotional breakdown. Nothing changes until you do. The sooner you realize that the biggest resistance is not the market, it's you, the sooner real progress begins. Because when you change internally, your trading changes externally. Not by force, but by flow. Not through hustle, but through harmony. That's the paradox of trading. It looks like a game of charts and numbers, but it's really a mirror showing you exactly where your work is. And until you do that work, the market will keep whispering the same lesson, louder and louder until you finally listen. Most traders never make it, not because they lack intelligence, not because they don't try hard enough, but because they're fighting the wrong enemy. They think the problem is the market. They think the answer is another strategy. But in reality, it's a psychological loop, a silent war between their impulses and their intentions. They try to master the charts without ever mastering themselves. But trading isn't about outsmarting the market. It's about outgrowing the parts of you that sabotage your own success. The truth is brutal, but freeing. You don't need more tools. You need more truth. Until you become aware of your patterns, until you observe your emotions without obeying them, until you stop outsourcing responsibility to the market and start turning inward, you'll keep repeating the same cycle with a different name. It's not about finding the perfect system. It's about becoming a version of you who can execute any system with calm, clarity, and consistency. That version of you isn't born from backtests and setups. That version is born from silence, reflection, discipline, awareness, from doing the inner work no one else sees. And once you commit to that path, trading transforms. It's no longer just about money. It becomes a path of mastery, a mirror for your mind, a dojo for your discipline, a place where every loss teaches and every win humbles. So the question isn't, will I succeed? The real question is, am I willing to face myself fully? Because once you do that, the market doesn't stand a chance.